What was your first car in Canada?
That's a very, very good question, Lydia. In fact, it's a very unconventional answer or a way of thinking. My first car in Canada was a brand new BMW 3 Series.
Oh my God.
Hey there, it's me, Lydia May, a proud Canadian immigrant and a firm believer in the power of a positive mindset. I want to have honest conversations with successful immigrants about their stories, insights, and what it really takes to thrive in your new home. Get ready to warm up to Canada. Welcome to the Ice to Nice podcast.
You know what is interesting, that like you and I, so you're from India and I'm from Russia, and probably like we have kind of a similar mentality, and I don't mean just us, but like our countries, right? So that if you have a car, it's better to buy a new car. It has to be luxury because everybody can see how much money you spend.
Yeah, it's more of a social status, right?
Yeah.
And we all love to look nice, so yeah, that's quite
yes.
common, isn't it?
But you know, it's the funniest thing. So like I am not a typical Russian person because like I always buy used cars. And to be honest, like I'm lucky a little bit here. My first car in Canada, it was Honda Civic. Honda Civic, and if I remember right, it was like 5 years old, and I bought it used, right? But also the thing is, I was very smart about buying that car because I didn't buy it in Calgary. I actually bought it in a small town, which is like probably like 1 hour away from Calgary, and I bought it very cheap because like that area where I bought that car, so like it's not like a huge town, and my car was a Honda Civic with 2 doors. So you know, it was that sporty look.
Oh, nice, the coupe.
Yeah, the coupe. And you know, like I got lucky and I bought that car, if I remember right, for $7,000 or something, like that. And then I drove it for 2 years, and then actually I could resell it for the same amount of money, and it happened even before COVID-19. So I lost like maybe $300. So, and that's why I thought, okay, so it's nice buying like a used car in Canada, right? So, and then my second car actually was a RAV4, Toyota RAV4, and as you know, it's a very like nice car, and a lot of immigrants actually love buying those. But also, again, it was 5 years old, and when I sold it eventually after like 3 years, the amount I sold it for also was pretty much the same, and that's why I'm pro used cars as well. But now I'm in your new luxury car.
Yeah, it's practically the bargain luxury car, I would say. It's from Hyundai, so I would not say it's
but
from
still
the top
in
brands,
comparison with like 5-year-old car, I can see that here we have like this fancy look like Tesla and everything. So like, and my assumption, so you bought it new, right?
Yes, I have purchased this new. It's been 1 year so far, and the car has been driving great. So I have my own thought process, just like how you have about used cars. I believe that used cars obviously is the most practical approach for the newcomers, for sure. It kind of helps them save financially some money when they come first time in Canada, when it comes to using their savings from another country, or even if they don't have good credit history because they've just arrived. It is very important that buying a used car kind of certainly can help them divert that additional cash towards schooling or housing or anything else.
But then I'm curious, what was your thinking, and what was your first car in Canada when you first arrived?
That's a very, very good question, Lydia. In fact, it's a very unconventional answer or a way of thinking. My first car in Canada was a brand new BMW 3 Series with M Sports package.
See, and I bet that you bought it's because you were born in India. And then you came here and you needed to show off.
Yeah, more than show off, to be very honest. Ever since I learned about cars, since I was like 5 years old roughly, I have always been passionate and enthusiast about cars. And one brand which struck in my mind since then was BMW. So, every individual,
right?
Everyone has one dream car or one dream, brand or logo. For me, it is BMW. So when I came here and I was looking for used cars, just like you, I have driven few, tested few, and I just did not feel myself, right? I mean, I just asked one question myself: is it me driving this? And I don't see myself in those cars. And I kept asking this question: that is it worth buying a new car, that too this expensive? And as I mentioned, right, it's very unconventional thinking in that way. But I had this one thing in my mind that, the best thing what it could happen is I can fulfill my dreams. And the worst thing what it could happen is probably if I don't pay my EMIs, they will take the car back, right?
So BMW, and as you said, it was your dream. And I always tell like if it's your dream, of course, go for it. But I can tell you an example from my post-USSR community. I know like a lot of people, it's not even their dream to have a BMW, but then it's because like it's a status, right? And that's why, for example, if they don't have money for a new BMW like you had, and you will tell me later how you could buy a new BMW, but like for them, they would buy like 10 years old. And it's gonna be BMW, but then they forget that like if something happens to that car, it's very hard to fix BMW in Canada. It's much easier to fix Hyundai, like Toyota and Honda, right? But when it comes to German cars, it's very hard, it's very expensive. But now let's go back to you and your story. I'm very curious. So your dream,
you know
BMW.
What, you really touched a very important point here. That's why two types of people exist in this world.
Okay.
Right? People like me, even if we can't afford to some level, but we want to make sure that we achieve our dreams. And there are other set of people, right? For them, car is just a product which takes them from point A to point B, right? And they don't see fancy brand, technology, safety features, and anything around that more important, right? That adrenaline to drive, that driving experience and everything.
But also, sorry to interrupt you, but I would say there is a third type of people who are like me. So like I need a car which is nice, but I don't care if it's BMW or Honda. And the funniest thing, I can afford like a BMW, but probably I will never buy it. Because for me, it doesn't make sense why I need to have a BMW if I can get like Acura or like Toyota, right? So
while we are driving a Hyundai Palisade right now, and you actually nailed it. Actually, there is a third category. You're right, because the third category is the people who are more practical, more realistic. They can, as you rightly said, afford luxury cars, but they feel that they want to buy a product which is value for money, which is more practical in terms of what it offers for half the price. Then why not, right?
Or maybe they feel that now they have kids and they need to pay for their education, for their kumon and everything, right? And it feels like it's not just rational to spend all of the money for BMW.
You are just taking words from my mouth. In fact, I have two boys, and that's one of the reasons why I sold my BMW. And I've kind of purchased this Hyundai Palisade as one of the family cars, so we can take kids around camping trips in summers, as well as still save some money for their education.
So was it hard for you to sell your dream?
Oh my God, yeah, it was very, very hard. And in fact, since then, every time I see a BMW on the road, I still feel that why am I still driving a Hyundai?
But then your wife is sitting close to you.
But then
two kids, and she reminds you.
No, it's funny actually. She also feels the same way, and that's why you might probably see us buying a BMW again very soon. But when that happens, I'm certainly going to invite you for another podcast on how BMW drives.
Yeah, but then I'm curious, and so you have been in Canada 9 years, right? Like for that time, you have had just two cars, right? So the BMW and the one you're driving now.
Yeah, at that time I just had one car, right? As we had no kids, and then once we had two boys, we thought to upgrade ourselves into an SUV space. So that's why we purchased Palisade, as well as we also purchased one more car, which is more of a subcompact SUV called Volkswagen's Taos. Again, it's a German car, so we still have that German feel in our home, one or the other way. But I don't see that Hyundai is taking away anything from any German cars. It's driving well, it is loaded with features, and it is actually the most practical product we could buy in the market. If you are looking for a mid-size 3-row SUV, right? This car has features as good as Mercedes, which will cost you more than 100,000 Canadian dollars. Whereas this car, we purchased it for like $60,000. So it's a huge, cost savings. Plus you get all the bells and whistles in terms of features, tech, safety, etc. So yeah, why not, right?
But then I'm curious, though, for example, when you sold your BMW, like you could have bought, like let's say 5 years old, like Toyota RAV4 or Honda, like SRV, right? But still, like you've decided that no, you wanted to have a new car. So in your first story, so you really liked BMW because it was your dream, and then it's understandable. But then I'm curious, like what would motivate you with this car specifically? Why still you wanted to get a new one? Because for me, since I know the price of this car, I'm thinking now you could have gone for Toyota Highlander, for example, or for Acura MDX, which might be cheaper, but still like you decided to go with a new car. So I'm wondering like, what was your motivation?
Well, I mean, certainly for sure. Again, the thought process behind me, as I mentioned, was obviously first achieving my dreams. But if we talk about more practical aspects of this, right, I always felt that, new car versus used car, right? I always was a person inclined towards new car because I feel that it gives long-term value. It also gives you modern tech and safety features, which I'm a fan of because I'm working for a multinational IT company and I'm into an IT profession. So it kind of naturally inclines me towards being up to date with modern technology. So I love cars which gives me more technology at my hands. That was another motivation. And other factors was, financing. I felt that, at that time, if I go and find used cars, I had very limited options. Plus the financing of used cars was on a higher side, like close to 8-9% at that point in time. Whereas when I went to the BMW, the dealership had good offers for financing. I got that car for just 1.99, which is like almost 6 to 7% less in terms of interest, which I'll pay over the period of 5 to 7 years. So I found that very compelling, right? And also the sense of security, pride and accomplishment what I feel when I buy the new car, that I will never get by buying a used car. And more or so, I get that new car with a sense of peace of mind that I have warranty covered from the manufacturers for next 5 years. I can even purchase the extended warranty, or I can also put a lot of add-on features which makes me feel really happy within my soul. So it's more about emotional connection which I have towards new cars, but that does not mean that the used cars are not a good option.
Yeah, like it just means you're a different person, right? And for example, as I told you, a lot of my
Three
friends
types of people, right?
who are coming from like post-USSR, like some of them, they would never go to Valley Village, they would never buy a used car because they like the feeling of that new car, right? But that's why I wanted to do this kind of podcast with you, because I wanted to show people two perspectives, right? Like two type of people, and probably like we should find like a third person for the third type, right?
To your point, actually we can consider ourselves as a third category, third type of people also, because as you know, I already have purchased BMW. Now I'm back to mainstream non-luxury brands. It's just to make sure that every individual comes through a different time of life, right? And they should adjust accordingly, right? When they are young and fresh, they might want to go with sports cars, the sedans. When they grow old, right, they would want to get into SUV space, more space for kids, and stuff like that. But we should certainly put forward some thought process on how used car stacks against new car. As I mentioned, my perspective of what the new car is. You told me that you are all in all a used car person, and you have just given some example of buying 2 used cars and selling them after using for a couple of years for pretty much the same price. That means your car did not depreciate. In new car, it will depreciate for sure if you don't keep it for long term. plus you had a good value, you used it and you were happy. So why don't you kind of shed some light about why do you feel that used car has an edge over new car in terms of advantages, what it brings for the immigrants?
When we talk about used cars and why I like it, some of the people tell me that I'm lucky, but I prefer to see it as I do a lot of research and I understand how finances work as well, and I absolutely agree with you. If I go to the topic about finance, here I'm not an expert. For example, me, I'm buying my cars for cash usually, so and that's why for me a used car is a great option. And yes, and I agree with you, because I know that used cars, they keep their value, right? For example, how it happened to my cars. So I usually drive my cars for 2 years and then I sell them after 2 years, and then the price is almost the same. But when you have a new car, as soon as you drive it out of a dealership, it loses probably $10,000.
Easily,
right?
10-15% for sure.
Yeah. So, and sometimes people say, well, but it just 10,000, but it's not just 10,000, it's 10,000, you can do a lot of things with 10,000. You can send your kid to university, I think in Canada you can pay for 1 year, or at least for half of the year. So, and that's the thing, and that's why I appreciate used cars over new car, because I'm thinking about my money as well. So again, I can drive a car, sell it after 2 years, I won't lose a lot of money. And some of the people would tell me, well, but you have to repair a lot. But again, here, if you do it smart, for example, I prefer not to buy American used cars, right? Because I know that there are stories about that every American car after 5 years old, something starts happening to it, same with Russian cars in some way.
Yeah, reliability as a topic is obviously very sensitive when it comes to used cars. But as you rightly said, there are ways to mitigate that by making sure that you do a thorough mechanical check by a certified mechanic, or even buy used cars from a pre-owned certified dealers, right? So that way you can certainly, take care of that reliability aspect, thinking that, there could be some major issues under the car which you come to know only after buying it. That can be avoided for sure. No, I completely hear you. I don't say that buying used car is not the right thing to do for sure. It is certainly the best practical choice. But given the fact that used car also comes with old technology and the engines will not be fuel efficient, and it also has its own safety feature minuses. Comparatively, if you buy a new car, you get all the bells and whistles in terms of features, safety, technology, efficiency. Now you got hybrid cars and a lot of cool features around, plus you have got warranty covered, you have got peace of mind for longer time. So it is up to an individual to decide based on their needs, right? What is their business case? Do they really want to buy a new car because they already had a used car and now they are looking for a family car which they want to keep it for more than 5 years,
or then, they want to follow your dream, right?
Exactly, right? Or follow your dream, absolutely. Or they are the immigrants who have just came and they are not financially comfortable in putting a lot of money in new cars and just start their journey with used cars. They can certainly first build their credit history by paying their loan on time. Plus, immigrants, by using used car, obviously save some money, so they can use it against housing or anything else. And on top of that, they can learn to drive in the new environment or new Canadian culture using the used cars. Even if your car accidentally hits anything or you get some small damages, the cost of repair will not be that much compared to buying a new car. And if that gets touched up,
didn't
right?
know that.
In spite of me being a new car pro, I always believe that any car, whether it's a new car or a used car, there is always a good and a not so good side of it, right? it is that person who has to decide on which side of the pendulum he wants to be at that point in time of his life.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know, and I 100% agree with that, because I always tell that it's like same with immigration, right? As you know, a lot of people are coming to Canada, and some of them, they hate it here. Like they say, like, it's a terrible place, I don't even want to live here, I want to go home. But some of them, they like it, right? So they find their things which are important to them. And that's why I do agree with you that same when somebody, even I'm pro a used car person, still I prefer to tell people. So yes, I prefer and I suggest you to buy used car. But again, if your preferences like are leaning towards a new car, then of course I can go for a new car, especially if it's your dream, like it was for you with your BMW, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Lydia, for inviting me to your podcast show. I'm certainly blessed to have this opportunity today. As you know, I run a YouTube channel called Auto Reviews 24, and I do car reviews, especially new cars. And my slogan is honest reviews to simplify your car buying journey.
Nice.
So the objective of me doing this is through my passion for cars, intuitiveness as well as knowledge around cars, which I have from over 20 plus years. I want to pass it on to people out there who are looking to buy their first new car. And if I can make any meaningful difference in their decision making, then I would be the most happiest person out there.
Yeah.
So having said that, coming back to your point about used cars, right, and resale value cars, certainly Japanese cars like Toyotas, Hondas are the best models or kind of car products out there which has got highest resale values. But again, as you know, right, everyone has a preference of brand love, right? And at the end of the day, if you are that person who believes in more of a resale value and kind of a car which is practical but it may not have the best of the driving experience you might get in a German car, for example, right, then those kind of products are also for people who want to be in that category. But give or take, I mean, there is nothing wrong or right about used cars or new cars, right? I'm a firm believer that a car is a product which is very emotional to every individual's taste. My taste is all about driving experience, right? I want something which drives well, which is fast, which is very agile in the way it drives. I love technology, I want to be close to the technology. So I feel that the cars which are closer to my likings is what I will like. Whereas like you, right, you want to make sure that you make the right decision in terms of financial value out of the product, right? So used cars is also something which goes well with you. And the third category which we discussed, which are people who have seen both worlds, new cars, used cars, driven them, can afford them, but they are more into a stage of life where they are looking into a product which is more practical in terms of value for money. But as long as that product is bringing value to that person in terms of technology, space, engine, refinement, etc., right, that person will just go ahead and buy that, right? So there is
yes, and I agree with you, like these are brilliant words. Like yes, everything depends on the individual, right? And everybody has their own preferences. Like same like when you move to a new country, like you look at a lot of things, like some things which you like, another person might hate. Not everywhere. Speaking about technology, right? This is awesome. Like you have a lot of technology here, and I can see that, and I can clearly see your point. It's nice. And who knows? Like soon, maybe I'll buy a car, which is almost 2024, right? And I'll get exhausted technology as well. So me, I'm about a golden middle to have like a little bit of technology, a little bit good price, and all together as a nice package. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, as a closing comments.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm an unconventional person who went ahead and purchased a brand new BMW as a first car as an immigrant. But if given a choice as a word of advice to anyone, frankly, I would certainly tell them to consider used cars, because this is a depreciative asset, right? So if car is just a necessity initially for you to make your life easy, especially in North American countries where car is very important part of your day-to-day life. So for them, used car should be the first priority for sure, unless you are financially strong and you are just coming here with a lot of savings and you love branded cars, then go for it. And yeah, I'll kind of conclude with that note that used cars is the most practical point of way for any new immigrants to consider.
And who knows, like, maybe one day I'll buy a new car. And then I'll come to you for a piece of advice as well. Plus, now I'm driving Acura RDX, so it's a 5 years old car. So, and actually, I found out that luxury cars in Canada, they're losing even more value. So if you go for a luxury new car, then after 5 years you can buy it very cheap. So, but yes, thank you so much for your stories, and especially I really loved your BMW story, your driven story. And another thing,
it's very unique. That's why.
Yeah, and I hope to see you soon. And maybe I can pick your brain on how to buy a new car, because on my channel I have already a great video about how to buy a used car, but I don't have a video about on how to buy a new car, because again I'm not an expert in that, but you are an expert, and I'd like to pick your brain up about that.
No, for sure, Lydia. Thank you for having me today. And, certainly we can connect again and talk more about, some pro tips for buying cars in general, whether it is new car or a used car.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, part 2 now.